Hello, hello, everybody. How's it going? So, I've got Tin with me here. I am super, super, super excited to be hanging out with Tin. And we got someone else here, though you can't see him. We do have another person live with us right now. And of course, it's Peak. Peak's hiding in the background. Peak, do you want to say hi to everybody? I know you're also lurking in chat.
I'll be here taking questions, coordinating, and making sure it's all good. Uh, Max, I think Tin, you're zoomed in on his face on the stream,
Just
so
a
like
little
you're
bit
missing.
here.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can if I can zoom that out for you, Tin. Give me one moment. Gonna just bring you up here, Tin. Everybody can see your beautiful face like this. Give me a sec, everyone.
Okay, now I'm very stressed now.
There you go.
I
No,
didn't put
you're
on
good.
makeup. I
you're
didn't put on makeup today.
you're good. You're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. You look great. You look great. Tin, how you doing? How are you doing today? I'm so
Oh
excited to be chatting
man,
with you.
yeah, and between us, it's been a while, right? Lots and lots of things have happened. And we haven't gotten to catch up. So it's great to be here, man. Always awesome to be chatting with you and catching up with everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I definitely couldn't agree more. And what an amazing time to be doing it because we have such a big update today. Oh my goodness, Tin, I'm so excited. I'm going to be grilling you just so you know. So I hope you are prepared to take a little bit of that. But I know that all the Sipherians want to hear everything that's been going on with Sipher and also everything that is soon to come with Sipher.
Absolutely. Super excited. On your cue, my man.
All right, we're going to get going here. So, just to let everybody in the stream know, we are going to jump over. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a brief outline as to how the stream is going to go, some of the topics that we're going to go over, and then we're going to get right into things. And for everybody who does know a lot about Sipher, just give us a little bit of time in the beginning because we just want to make sure that everybody's briefed. Not everybody here is going to be a veteran OG Sipherian, so we just want to give everybody a bit of an overview of the Sipherian Odyssey and the game itself, and then we're going to get into all the juicy leaks and updates that you all have been waiting for. So, without further ado, Tin, I'm going to have to adjust your camera on the next screen just so you know. So, just give me a quick moment, everybody. I'm going to have to go over this, but let's get going.
Okay.
So, Tin, I'm just going to adjust your camera one more time here. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, let's get going. So, for everybody who is hanging out, I am here, of course, with the founder and world architect of Sipher, and that is Tin Nguyen. He doesn't need introduction for anybody who is familiar with the Sipher ecosystem, but for anybody else who is not, he is a very, very special individual. So I highly recommend, if you're not yet, make sure you're following him on all his social channels. You can find them everywhere, whether it be Twitter, Facebook. So make sure you're following him because he is the man himself. But for the stream, let's go over it here. So we're going to start off with a brief introduction. I myself, I don't really need to give you guys much of an introduction because I'm not that special, but I'll start with me. So I'm Guru. My name is Max, but I'm known as Guru in the Web3 space, and I have been with the Sipher team for it's about a year now. We got our anniversary coming up, so I met with Tin and Alan very early when the game wasn't even a thing. It was just a dream in all of our heads. And I came from a background in Axie and was advising the team on multiple different things in regards to the game experience, the community building, etc. So I am here now. I'm a very, very passionate Sipherian member of the Council of Nine, and I do a few things in the Web3 space. But Tin Nguyen, he is the man of the hour. So, as I said, he is the founder. Tin, you have a very strong background in all things business. I know that this is not your first successful venture. So, I know that you are a man of many, 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 many accomplishments. So, congratulations for that. But if you want to just quickly give everybody your own little brief introduction, just so that they know who you are, and then I will continue on here.
Thanks, Maxwell. Firstly, I think you're very, you're sort of like underplaying yourself here, man. I mean, I think you had a prolific background in esports as well, right? I mean, playing League of Legends for a while. You may have, right? Not just the Axie thing. But yeah, very excited to be here, and thanks for the intro. So, and if for the new audience on the stream who may have not come across Cypher or myself, I'm Tin, the founder and world architect of Cypher. And this project has been a dream of mine, of the team, for a long time. And we've been working hard on it around this time last year. Officially, all in, all gun blazing. And it's been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride, a wild journey. Being immersed in the Web3 space, meeting amazing people like you, Max, and our awesome community and other people as well, builders in the space. And we have grown so fast, to be honest. Like I'm I was just looking at the team. Really, like we had a team outing last night, and just catching up everybody. And some of them are coming up to their 1 year anniversary working for us, like in the studio. And we're just sharing like how fast the team have grown from a couple of people, a bunch of guys with a small idea, until now we have like over 150 people full time working, building this amazing game, and all the technology stack that's supporting it. So cannot be more excited to share with you guys what we've been up to for the past months or weeks, and I think there's lots in store today, so tune in.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that, Tin. So, lots in store for today. Let's give you guys a bit of a brief overview of what we're going to be going over. So, we're going to be going over the core gameplay loop. So, this is going to be a little bit of a breakdown of Sipher, and it's going to be coming from a point of view of trying to explain to some people who may not be as familiar with it as some of our OGs. So, just bear with us. Then we're going to get into some juicy, juicy gameplay elements, such as the crafting system, which was hinted a little bit yesterday in the spaces with Tribali games. So if you guys were excited hearing about that there, just wait, because we have so much info for you. Then we get into world building. So if you follow me on Twitter, you know I am a absolute nut when it comes to world building. I think it is one of the things that creates the most successful games in the world. So that is obviously something I am very bullish on when it comes to Sipher. And we have the world architect himself with us. So let me tell you, I'm excited to hear his point of view and get a little bit more information on that. Then we get into something super, super spicy, and that is guild wars and LTMs. Guilds are such a big thing in the Web3 space, and they've been evolving over the last year. And I think that Sipher has been watching that, of course, staying in touch with me as well, because I'm very passionate about guilds. So I'm excited to grill Tin on this and hear what he has planned, and maybe a little bit of his perspective on guilds in their current state. Then we get into challenges and triumphs, and I gotta tell you guys, this part is gonna be an absolute crazy part. So make sure that you stay tuned for that, because there's some huge announcements coming there. And part of that, of course, on the side of triumphs, we got a third office announcement, Sipher in the news, some merch coming up, and a grand finale that I cannot wait to show you. So without further ado, let's get started. So we got our introductions out of the way, Tin, so we could just jump right past that. But we'll kind of bridge this into the core gameplay loop by giving people a little bit of an introduction of Sipher and moving it into the core gameplay loop. So, Tin, why don't you tell us a little bit about Sipher, as well as a little bit of the inspiration, because we got a bit of Alan's perspective yesterday on the Twitter space, but I'd love to hear your side of it with some of your inspiration, and then let's start talking about the Sipherian Odyssey itself.
Absolutely. Sipher Odyssey to me, and to the larger team, has always been about creating like really fun and compelling multiplayer action games. And the genre that we arrived with is a good mixture between a dungeon looter shooter genre. So think Diablo, think Warframe, think Destiny 2, combined with roguelike mechanics. So, roguelike has been seeing a massive resurgence in popularity over the past, I would say a year and a half. And when Cypher started out, we wanted to do this genre. We didn't know that it was, seeing such a massive uptake. But now, all the new games coming out, it just give us validation that this genre has a lot of potential, and we're again very very excited to be, you know, building this game towards this genre. So in terms of the game itself, the moment-to-moment gameplay that we hope to deliver to our players would be very similar to the fast-paced, high action, high adrenaline that you got from Destiny 2 or Warframe, but with a isometric camera angle, like top down view 45 degrees, so you have more sort of overview of the environment, and it's more comfortable for mobile players, as it is a much easier control system than traditional FPS.
Mm.
And then with the roguelike mechanic, we have some really interesting twists on the genre, in that we would be able to extract what was typically the fun and I guess the luck that resides within each single roguelike instance, and sort of like disappear right after that. We are able to bring that towards the meta progression, towards the building and creating and crafting of your characters and your inventory and your gears. So I think we are working on something quite amazing here internally in the studio. And it's been very much a lot of hard work, because not only do you want to get the core gameplay right, the fun right, the moment to moment fun right, but also how do you get the meta progression right, how do you give something keep giving something for the players to chase after, to compete against, to theory craft. So those are really like high goals that we're aiming for. And hopefully this Cypher Odyssey release, the alpha release, can definitely deliver what we hope to give to our audience.
Well, as somebody who's had an opportunity to, play at least the earlier playtest and then see some of what you guys obviously have developed since then, I've got to say that it is a really unique mix. So whenever somebody asks me about Cypher, I always try and give them a couple games that feel kind of familiar. I'm like, hey, have you ever played Hades, Enter the Gungeon, etc. But that's just that's only really the visual experience of it. The actual game itself, it's really hard for me to try and tell people what it's like to play it, because it does feel very novel, right? Where when I'm playing through, I'm like, oh, this is a unique spin on this, especially with the roguelike elements. And
Mm-hmm.
then you add on top of that all of the Web3 integration that goes outside of the gameplay, which is what obviously makes this very, very exciting. And all I've
Hmm.
got to say is we've got an amazing novel package here that I think everybody, once you have your opportunity to get your hands on it, is going to be extremely impressed with. So let's jump forward here and talk a little bit more about the roguelike system, Tin, because this is something that I'm a huge roguelike fan. I love these. I can spend hours on them. And personally, I think that this is an element not only from a gaming point of view that adds so much replayability, but specifically when it comes to Web3 games, I think this is such a unique element to put into a Web3 game that gives it that sense of almost unique performance oriented value when you jump into a game, right? Because people always say, oh, hey, it's predictable. Earnings are predictable. Gameplay is predictable. I feel like all I got to do is just play Excel sheet online and play to earn my way to feeling successful in this game. But when you add that roguelike element to it, you can never really predict it. How's it going to go out, right? Am I going to get a fully stacked wind slash this run, or am I going to be stuck using my lightsaber with like a complete ping pong, right? So it's like I don't know how this is going to turn out, and that unpredictability for me at least gets me really excited. So tell us a little bit about the roguelike system and maybe even some of your inspiration for a few of these, because I see some compare, like especially even the names. There's a few names in here that stand out. So give us a breakdown, Tin.
Oh, first of all, man, I think you captured that, like the feelings that we want our players to have so perfectly. Is that feeling like, okay, I have this build, this all the equipment, all the gears, and essentially that represents like your deck of cards, right? But when you bring your deck of cards into a match, you never know exactly how you're gonna play it, because it depends on the luck of the draw.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what cards, or in our case, in Cypher Odyssey, what skill boost that will come out at that particular draw. And you must make a strategic decision uh, on which one to pick and why. And that decision also has to sort of like combine with your teammate decision, and combine with their choice of character, with their choice of subclasses, and their choice of inventory and gears. So I think that gives like this beautiful combination between skill, prepared skill, but also luck, which I think will make for fantastic kind of like streamers, content creator, to just, like go through this content over and over again, because hopefully every run that they do with a new friend, with a new group of mates, with some new gears, or even with just the same gear, would be a different run, would be a refreshing like a dungeon run. And
100%.
and not only that, we also, like a typical looter shooter, we want to give you tons of things to go after, right? Like we want to give you, like, I was joking with somebody, like, Borderlands have like 1 million guns. So how many guns would Cypher have? And I was joking, like, one gun less, so like 999,099. But but seriously, we will have a lot of guns, a lot of gears, and a lot of things for you as a player to just chase after and build your repertoire, your theory craft, your perfect combinations of decks, of sets that will be able to take you across different metas depending how the game is changing over time, obviously. So man, like that is how we think of the game, and that's how
Hmm.
we think that how we think we can bring roguelike into the meta progression, like I said,
Hmm.
something that is like in your permanent progression, and not like as that's not like only appear for like during a run and disappear. So yeah, I mean that's what we currently have in the designs for the game. And I think as an early playtester, you saw some of that, right? Some of
Hmm.
the mechanics, and I think it really add up to this really fun gameplay.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I think as a content creator too and a competitor, I am so excited, especially since I kind of suck at TikTok. I'm excited to be able to get some clips, kind of like I had in the first one, where I'm like, oh man, that's a super spicy clip. But I'm thinking about sometimes when I go through a roguelike and everything just lines up and it just makes sense. You're like, you know what? It's great. I love to have. I'm making an example here. Everybody knows that I don't know if this is going to happen in Cypher, but it's like, oh, my weapon is now like has reach that's 6 times longer than it's supposed to be, and it's just obnoxious and funny, right? But this makes like such great content, and I'm super excited about it. And speaking about things that you can come across as you go, Tin, come on, you got to tell us a little bit about some of this inspiration. Were you like an old World of Warcraft player or something? Because we got a Leroy Jenkins option here. Everybody in the chat's asking about it.
uh
They said talk about Leroy Jenkins.
Oh man, so as you know, Cypher is a team effort. It's a lot of us who are just massive gamers, and Peak, my brother is also a massive gamer, and we both play World of Warcraft back in the days. So but I don't have the raw talents of naming things like Peak does. So that's up to Peak to answer that question for you,
Okay,
man.
Peak, jump in here. So you're a big World of Warcraft fan, were you?
I think one of the things that, as all gamers, right, one of the things we love to do is we love to find references to other games and pay homage to a lot of the other games that we have such good experience with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, taking inspiration for sure, but like I think everyone here has had memorable memories of a game they played, or like the viral video. Like I'm sure Leroy Jenkins is so famous that you never touched WoW, but you would know what someone means when someone yells Leroy Jenkins, right? Like it's become
Fair.
ubiquitous with common culture. So that's really so one of the things that Ting glossed over that I really want to like reinforce the point to, so that people understand why this is like a fusion of Diablo and roguelikes, is that in traditional roguelikes, the choices are offered to you randomly and you just pick and you hope for the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this, for those who did to play in the previous playtest, you would have noticed that the options that you're offered actually come with the items that you pick. So depending on the build that you pick, the options that you get in the run are different. So you might pick this really strong, fire weapon, but it might come with these upgrades that aren't so great. So then you have to juggle your gear versus your boost, and then you throw that all in a pot with RNG, and you're gonna have some really really good times, and you're gonna have some times where you close the game because it didn't give you what you want.
Oh
But I think
no.
I think that's why I think that's the roguelike experience.
It
Well,
is.
wouldn't
But
close the game. I would run again, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't want to. I don't want to give it up. Especially everybody knows that meme, right? It's like just one more, just one
Oh
more.
exactly.
yes, absolutely. And then like 10 hours later, right?
Yeah,
Like
you're still playing games. But anyway, okay, so we I think this roguelike system, we could spend all day on it, but we're going to move forward. But I love this. Just to say, I know without putting anything out there, I think that the roguelike system is going to add a lot of variety as well as a lot of opportunity for the tokenization within the game to be really dynamic. So I don't want to say much more about that because it's just speculative on my side, but I think the roguelike system was an absolute win for you guys introducing. So huge props for that. But let's jump into the characters themselves. You were mentioning about the gear and the kits, but the characters, the actual units you're going to be using and you are going to be falling in love with, the most important part of Sipher, because this is where it all started. So I can give everybody a bit of a breakdown here, and then maybe you can go in after Tin, because we've got the two most iconic in front of us. Of course, we've got the Inu. The very beginning of it all started with the Inu. The Inus were the generative project that was linked to Sipher that became this game, this universe that we all love to this day. So I myself am very bullish on Inus. We've got the very beginning part of it, which is a Canis, which from what I saw actually seem pretty strong still. You know, a lot of people will look at that basic character and be like, it's useless, right? Like this is a character that doesn't matter. If you're not paying to win, you're not going to win. But the Canis seemed like somebody, if you are a versatile generalist, that Canis looked really good because it had a lot of passive ability skills. And of course, I don't know how this might change for the final product, but I do think the Canis looked incredibly good, and it even just looks good, right? It's the chunky boy meme. The Canis looks like a chunky boy. I love those cheeks. You just want to grab them. Then we get into the Bio Z. The Bio Z for me had a really, really aggressive style of play to it, and I wasn't even able to fully theorycraft something that I think would be great for it because I'm like, I just want to see this in action. So I know that the Bio Z is the first rarest after the Canis, coming before the Cyborg and the Cosmic, but I'm really excited to see how people are going to be theory crafting around this because it's normally that middle ground that gets a lot of attention from people because it's the most obtainable and also a little bit more unique than your base level. So I think the Bio Z is going to be something we see a lot of really strong theory crafting about, and I think it's going to be really aggressive. Then we get into the Cyborg. The Cyborg looks awesome. The Cyborg has such a strong tie to the Sipher lore too, right? Because everything is very like futuristic. It has this almost like space age cyberpunky mechanical feel to it, and I feel like the Cyborg just fits perfectly. I also felt like the Cyborg had some hyper utility in its kit that I'm really, really excited to see come into gameplay because the Cyborg looked like a really awesome character that would allow a high skilled individual to come in and really make the most of it. So any of you Cyborg players or Cyborg holders, I think you guys are going to be in for a treat, but make sure you're ready to put those practice hours in. And then my personal favorite, you all can see behind me here, my iconic Inu himself, Takezo the Cosmic Inu. I love Cosmics. I fell in love with the Cosmic before the game even came out or the playtest, and then once I got to get my hands on the Cosmic in the playtest, I absolutely was sold. I think for me, I'm the samurai-esque individual. I like that really fast-paced forward combat. For anyone who played League of Legends, I was a Dirty Riven main. So you all know Cosmic is going to be up my alley because I think you put a sword or a lightsaber in a Cosmic's hands and I am going to be shredding it up and putting highlights all over social media. So Cosmic is a really, really unique character. I think it is a very strong character, which makes sense because it is the rarest and one of the most sought after Inus in the entire collection, and I'm extremely bullish on them. So the Cosmics don't just look good, they work good, and they're all around just a badass character. Then we get into the Nekos. I gotta say, the Nekos, like, I remember listening to TQ talk about the Neko, and she said the Neko really reflects like that woman empowerment to her. It's a very strong female character, and you see it everywhere. Like, even just look at this image. This image, when I saw this slide, by the way, I cropped this out because I'm like, yo, that Neko looks amazing. Like, this looks so cool. I love the cross guns. Looks extremely powerful, super confident, but at the same time, you know, cute, pretty, little badass. I like it. I think the Neko's great. And I will say as well, the Neko as a character is super, super interesting to me because it has this DPS kind of glass cannon feel to it where it's like high risk, high reward. But at the same time, you've got some characters in there. You know, the Fearless might be the basic, but you get into the Phase Walker in the synthetic, and I think their ability set, like the actual abilities that came with them, were so, so unique. And I feel like with the right individual being able to put that into the right team comp, you're going to see Nekos come in and be probably an absolute necessity in every team. I feel like Nekos are extremely useful. They have high utility, high skill cap, and they also have a lot of value as far as getting some of those roguelike skills because you get a Neko with a bunch of ping pong, a bunch of crit, a bunch of damage, a bunch of speed, and it's untouchable. It is just shredding everything up. Well, if it does get touched, it may be shot like one shot if it's a boss, but for the most part, really strong. And then the Chrysalis, of course. I thought the Chrysalis was a really really unique character, but I also just love the way that the Chrysalis looks. So I'm super bullish on them. It is the rarest Neko, of course. It is kind of like the sister to the Cosmic, and I think that when it comes down to it, the Chrysalis might be able to bring a position into the game, especially on the dungeon side of things, that is extremely strong for bosses. I saw this skill set for the Chrysalis and I'm like, wow, that looks like a really, really good character to bring into a boss fight. So I don't want to say too much because I don't want to really spoil it. But for me, I think Chrysalis is going to be a boss slayer. And I'm excited to be rocking mine because I have a couple of Chrysalis that I am in love with. So Tin, if you want to, I think I've done a good enough job talking about them, but maybe you can just do a once over on them real quick for everyone.
Man, I don't think I can do it better. Even if I try like 10 times. But fantastic job, man. To me, to me, these eight subclasses, we call them internally subclasses, are just really great in their own rights. And you're just hit the nail on the head there. Like it's really up to the player to pick what's best for them. Um, and all of them have really strong situational advantages. So with the Crystallis, for example, her skill, as is the current design state, would allow her to like lock things in place, like
Mm-hmm.
enemies or bosses. So that is a very big strategic advantage, especially when the Nekos, they tend to be a bit more, I would say, flimsy, right? Glass cannon.
Mm-hmm.
um, but that doesn't mean that the synthetic or the face walker don't have their own awesome abilities, right? You play it, the synthetic essentially is able to like replicate herself and then switch place with that replication. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very awesome kind of like mind trick that you can do, that you can play, especially when it comes to like more like PvP oriented matches, where you like, so is that the real one, or is which one
Mm-hmm.
is the real one, right? And we're having such a blast creating like intro cinematics for her as well, which we hope to release it sometimes in the next few weeks, like some sneak peeks there for all the different characters. But yeah, I mean, she's amazing. And then just to touch lastly on the two other ones, so the Felis and the Face Walker, I think they're all again like very strong with in the right hands. And you just have to be super careful going up against an Echo. And you should be also be protective of your Neko and your party,
Mm-hmm.
because she can deal a tons of DPS, but she can be also put down very quickly. So I think high risk high reward is perfect, as you sum up.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say we've got a few. I'll let you guys look through this as we go, but I think it's really important too that there's like if you are a gamer, and again I don't want to say too much because I want to leave the experience to all of you because it's a novel one, but there are a lot of comparisons, just like they were saying, a lot of homages to some of the gameplay elements, some of the gameplay styles that come from other games that I saw into these characters. Like I'm gonna say there's a few times I was playing these characters and I'm like, oh hey, that looks familiar. I've played a character kind of like that. Things from like Apex, from League of Legends, etc. Right? I see a lot of homage being played there, and for me, being a League of Legends player, I love it because I'm like, ooh, okay, I see this. This looks good. I kind of have a feel of how to do this. So really excited to be playing them. And I think, again, as we were mentioning before, because they all come completely unique. You can have a Chrysalis with a rocket launcher. You could have a synthetic with dual pistols. You could have a cyborg with a neon keyboard, or you could have a full-on cosmic with a lightsaber. And the gear is such an important part of Sipher. So I think next here, let's jump into gear, because this part, Tin, I want to grill you on this. I want all the dirty deets that you're willing to give me on gear. Tell me about it. I know people have been asking so much questions from, let's start with a really important one. Gear. Just how important is gear in the game? And as far as the gear goes, if maybe you have any insight to put on this, is there going to be any difference between some of the unique Genesis gear and some of the gear that you're able to actually get or craft in the game? So yeah, spill us the deets. I want to know, and I know every Sipherian here wants to know more about the gear too.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of things to answer there. So where should I start? Okay, let me think. So first question, let's do the easy one. So are gears important? Hell yes. Like as a looter shooter, gears are so important, right? They essentially build up part of the repertoire of your deck, right? So right now we're working with a 21 boost deck in a dungeon run. So that 21 is divided between your characters and your gear. So the characters would come right now with 3 boosts, and then the remaining would be from the gears and the accessories. So as you can see, they play for a big part of the the, the the skill cards that you're able to deploy in battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they come in all shapes and sizes, literally, right? They have not only cosmetics, amazing cosmetic differences as you can see from the images, but also different gameplay abilities. So some gear will give you just a straight up stat boost, like a stat increase.
Mm-hmm.
But some gear will change the way certain ability or even like base mechanic of your character function. So you play through the pre-alpha, some boosts uh, able to make your bullet ricochet, for example, or make them split into three,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or make your bullets proc like ice, kind of like status effects on enemies or poison or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think gears will be so important that we'll see a massive like game economy from our players, just buying, selling, building up their most beloved repertoire of gears.
Mm-hmm.
And an analogy I have for that is, I think what Peak likes to use, like Magic the Gathering, right? You just keep collecting different cards that you think suit your play style for a rainy day, because the meta change, the way you play change, the opponent you're facing also change. So you should collect as much of the gears and characters that work best for you as possible. And
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Anything you want to add there, Peak?
Yeah, no. So I was gonna say, well, I want you guys to understand that, like, when we say gear, it's very they would all be very niche, right? Obviously, they can all do the same thing, right? They can all hammer and nail, but some of the gear will be amazing at hammering and nail, and some of it will be, like you're trying to hammer with a block of styrofoam. That doesn't mean that gear is bad. It just means that that gear is amazing in other cases. But this is why we really want to create. We really look at creating different kinds of worlds where certain gears are stronger, creating different kinds of game modes where certain gears are stronger. So maybe if you're a person that only cares about PVE, you care about certain sets of gears. But someone else that deeply into competitive leaderboard rankings, chasing that top one, and what they need might be completely different from you. And I think having these niches in demand and meta is how you create like a thriving player base, as well as retain continued player interest, right? Because once the players get everything, they stop wanting to play your game.
Mm-hmm.
But when things are always changing, when there's always something new to do, you can't really get everything. You got to pick what's best for you.
Yeah.
And the best part is, even though you got the perfect gear with the perfect deck, as we alluded to it, because it's a roguelike card draw, in a sense, you will not always be able to perfectly execute what you have in mind, right? And thus you have to improvise and make use of what fate dealt you. And I think that will make the gameplay really, really fun and refreshing.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited. And I see a few people in the chat asking a lot about like gear. Hey, can we see what gear does what, etc. You know what? I'll give you guys this. Once you have a chance to be able to get your hands on the game, trust me, you'll get more than enough information for you to theory craft it all. But if you give all that information out too early, well then you're going to have the people who just want to game it. So trust me, everybody will start from the same level, but once we get our hands on the game and we can start theory crafting, I know I personally am going to be going crazy with it. So don't worry, it's going to happen. And speaking about crafting, let's get into the next part here. So the weapon system, the crafting system. I know that the crafting system specifically is something I haven't had a lot of opportunity to talk to you guys about, but I know you have some amazing plans. So Tin, why don't you break down the crafting system a little bit, give us some insight on it, and then maybe let us know, like, when it comes to crafting, is this going to be an element in the game that is more of a inside game aspect of it, where you're crafting things as you go, grabbing things in dungeons, and then just working with what you got? Or is this more of like a really deep strategic side where you take all of these crafting points, all of this different gear, all of these different tools, and then bring them out of the game and spend all that time crafting it outside of the game, trading it with other people, kind of like how we did with spaceship parts, and then bring your crafted gear into the game to be able to have like a perfect setup for yourself coming in and out of each game?
Max, have you been lurking in our internal chat? Because you're you're just spewing facts here, my friend. But it's yes, it's the second part. It's a latter what you just shared. So we want crafting to be. It's like we want the player to have like a refreshing change of pace. So in a dungeon, it's fast paced. It's like bam, bam, bam. Like things are flying, bullets are flying. You're dodging, dashing, casting skills, and then you beat the dungeon and you collect these amazing resources, blueprints, crafting blueprints that you then take back to base. And this is where you really slow it down and look at the blueprints, look at what you have, look at the meta, look at what you're trying to achieve as a character, what you build, what you're going after. Maybe watch some of Mac's upcoming tutorials on how to craft things. Um, and then you should make a decision on where to spend your resources, on which blueprints and on which to craft which weapon, which gear. So that is our intention. And we want it to be so deep that you can then, you know, keep crafting even the same gun because of different results, different outcomes that might come out of it. So how we
Ooh.
plan to do it is that we have a crafting system that is built upon 5 slots where you
Max, tap to the next slide.
Will
While
do.
Tim keeps.
yeah so and then each of these slots will require a particular resource, right, of which you then can use. You collect from dungeon rewards, or from challenges rewards, from quest rewards. Then you then will input into the crafting system, and then you basically create your unique weapon. And the way we design our system is that in such a way that there's an RNG element to it, so that there's a range of which you're able to achieve, like either the min or the max of each particular traits of your specific gear. So you will actually will it's like an opening like a box, right? Like you don't know what's inside. You know roughly, but not exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of feeling we want to give to the player as well, because I think that's gonna be very exciting. And depending on also the parts that you put in, some are software parts which will actually indicate what kind of boost you will get in that particular gun. Use the gun as example. And then you also have rarity cores, which are sort of like the gems, or the core of the item that dictates what rarity this item will belong to, right? So all these are nuances that you as a player will get to experience through our crafting system. And the final results is that everything that you craft, there should be a unique, like instance of that weapon, right? In terms of both the look and feel, and also combining with the stats. So not only you're collecting guns for the stats, but you're also maybe collecting guns for the beauty, the aesthetic aspects, which I know a lot of our players are also, fashionistas, right? Yeah, there you go. Are very excited about as well. So that's all I can say. That's all I can share for now about crafting. But we do have some sneak peeks of like the guns, right? How it can look from just using the different parts, and you can already tell of how much time and effort we already spend in order to make this crafting system the best it can be.
Yeah, well, everybody here can see it right now. We've got these awesome gifts that, by the way, I saw Peak putting so much effort into optimizing for you guys. So I swear this guy put like an hour into making sure that these things were good. But I I think that's really, really interesting the way that you put it, Tin. And I know that the personalization is such an important part for me as a gamer. Like, I will forego a little bit of performance, a little bit, not too much,
Are you
just
sure?
just to be able to look good. So I really like that aspect of it, right? Like I remember the first thing that I asked you when we were talking about our generative traits from the Enus in game is I said, hey, is there going to be anything unique? Like, am I going to get any like recoloring, reskinning, all sorts of stuff? And you said, hey, what we want to put together is going to work for the game for everybody. So it's going to be, something that you can personalize. And I never imagined it to this level, but I got to say, I am very impressed. But this whole crafting system, Tin, I'm throwing a bit of a curveball at you here, but this is something that's super hot in the space right now. And I just want to get your opinion on it. Of course, loosely, you don't have to go too into detail or talk about Sipher in specific, but I know when it comes to crafting and a lot of these particular unique randomized elements in a game, especially when they are tradable, the concept of pay to win comes into play here because there's always going to those people who say, oh yeah, well, I'm just going to come in and buy all the best stuff, get the best gun and run it in. And I know that the roguelike system is going to kind of moderate that a little bit, but at the end of the day, there's always a little bit of a pay to win element to things like this when it's openly traded. So, Tin, I want to know your opinion on that whole concept of pay to win, especially in the Web3 space. And do you think that, it is a little healthy to have some of it in? Do you think it's an important thing? Are you completely against it? Share your thoughts with me and the rest of the Sipherians here. I think this is something we really want to know.
Sure. I think Peak also have some ideas of his own there, so he can share that later. From me, I tend to see things. Sometimes people put it to the extreme, right? It's either, oh, this game is pay to win, and this game is like, no pay to win. But in reality, um, it's not always black and white, right? It's like this is the spectrum of gray, and it's the same is true, very true for game design. So I think that there is an element of which that, oh, this guy has so much money, he can buy and have this like all this gears without grinding for it, without even playing. And that is true. That is true. But just because he has all the amazing gear, if he's a crappy player and he has a crappy build against a very anti-meta against his build, he's gonna lose. He's not gonna do well. So, and 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 that is precisely why we introduced the boost skills mechanic and the roguelike mechanic into our looter shooter. Otherwise, in a typical looter shooter, you just be max stats chasing, right? You just find the max items that look like crap, but you just like give you the best stats, and you just go and click, 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 right?
Diablo 3. I mean, sorry.
Immortal.
Immortal, yeah.
No, but still, kudos to them. It's a great game, though. So I think that's where our stance is. Like, yes, you can pay your way through things. However, there are a few caveats here. There will be account level restriction. So meaning that if you don't reach a certain level, you cannot use that particular weapon. Um, there'll be there'll be restriction on also, like, let's say if you have a really powerful gear that is like very strong for PvP, uh, but it was designed for PvE, we might tune it down and basically compress everybody into like a range so that the PvP aspect, which is still in the future,
Mhm,
will be more enjoyable,
mhm,
right? And you see this done in multiple games that are very successful. And Arena of Valor is a great example of
mhm.
how they're able to do that. Or um, Honor of Kings, right, in China. So we Lost Ark is another great example.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to learn from the best in this regards as well.
No, that's a really good. I like that opinion on it, and I think that explains it very, very well because I've always my entire gaming career, I did not grow up trust fund baby. I didn't have a lot of money in my life, but what I had was. Oh, I was gonna do a Taken reference. I was gonna say a unique set of skills, but I do have a very, very strong competitive drive, right? So I would be in games. One of my longest time friends, MTTM core team member Oriel, I met him on the battleground in an MMO like 20 years ago. And I remember we would actually fight with like mid-level gear against the most pay-to-win people in the game, and we would win consistently because there is that level, right? So but at the same time, I think when it comes to games here, just my opinion on this. When it comes to games in general, money's always been a taboo in games, right? Like people think of money in games, they think of cash grabs, they think of microtransactions, pay to win, paywalls, all sorts of stuff, and it really has left gamers for the last 3 to 4 decades feeling a little jaded towards anything money related in games. But now that we get to the point of Web3 gaming and we have a little bit more of a financial incentive to be a part of these economic structures and the economic health of these games, of course, it can't be entirely focused on the economy or the finance, but there is that element, right? I think that the topic of money is bringing itself back up to the surface. And even though gamers are really uncomfortable about talking about this, it's important that we talk about it because this is how we get to the point where collectively we can develop an ecosystem, a sustainable ecosystem in these Web3 games that we are all a part of. So thank you for sharing your thoughts. Peak, did you have anything you wanted to chime in here before we move on to the next part?
Yeah, for sure. I think that everyone wants to. A big thing that everyone talks about is the concept of ownership, right? So like everyone wants to be able to own their own thing and to show off that's theirs and that theirs is different. So that's why we believe that everything should have its own unique use case, right? So if everything is the same, then nothing is special. You know what I mean? Like, so obviously it comes back down to game design, right? If we design an item where the worst player can beat the best player with it consistently, then that's the fault of the game design. That's not the fault of the items inherently, right? What it should be, it will never be 100% fair, like, and in terms of like PvE, in terms of this kind of thing. But the skill, it should the item should make a marginal difference, but the skill should be the big factor on top.
Mhm.
But yes, if you're someone that is so into the game that you put in the hours, or you put in the money, then you should be able to earn that extra 1, 2, 3% of marginal advantage.
Mhm.
But the other 97, you still gotta, get good.
Yep. No, it's a good point. And I'm one of those people. I don't have as much time to grind anymore. I'm so busy. So it's hard for me to sometimes put, hundreds of hours into a game to get all of those min-max points. But I'm busy working. So I have a little bit more money to my name. So I can, pay to win a little bit more on the sides just to offset that time commitment. So I agree with you, Peak. That's such a good way to put it. It's not a flaw of the of gaming itself. It's a flaw of the game design, and I'm
I
pretty
think one
confident.
of the I think one of the way we should look at this is through the lens of um, changing the term. It's not. I don't think it's pay to win. I think it's more of like pay for convenience, like you just mentioned. You're
Yeah.
working, you don't have time, so you pay for that added convenience of not having to grind and find that exact gun recipe that you were looking for the entire time,
Hmm.
or pay for like a slight like a head start. I think those are perfectly acceptable in today's and age, and with all the with all the mobile games that we have seen success so far.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Tin. But we've talked about this point way too long, even though I think it's a very important point. So thank you, Tin, for sharing all your thoughts. You as well, Peak. Let's jump to the next part here. So let's jump into the story. This is world building. This is one of my favorite points in the entire fireside we have here because I love world building. So, world architect Tin Nguyen, you break it down for us. Let's explain a little bit about Sipher, the world building, maybe a little bit of the importance, and also maybe some of the like inspiration or the structure of these worlds because they look amazing, like absolutely amazing. Where did this come from?
um do we want the I would say like the uncensored version or the censored version? I'm just kidding. um so man, it comes from the team, to be honest. I had the idea of this sci-fi futuristic cyberpunk world, and then I start jamming it out with the team, with Hai, our art director, with another Hai, our technical artist, with our narrative team, who are my longtime friends in Singapore, amazing, super amazing guys there, and a bunch of other people. And then the idea just sort of built on itself, right? So what we want to do is to tell of to or to think of or to design of a world in the not so distant future, where sort of like us um, humankind, have been able to uh, create a digital psyche of ourselves, where we can live digitally, and we are able to then upload that digital consciousness into so-called this like this database. It sounds very much like blockchain database. Um, so I guess some of the inspiration comes from there, and it's in this digital world that we are living in through these surrogates that are, the Inus, the Nekos, the Burus, and so on. Those are our vessels in this digital world. And why are we living there? And why is there a struggle? Why is there a fight? Who are we fighting? Man, I wish I can tell you, but I don't want to ruin the story because we have such, I think, I think a really good um, first chapter, first season, already like written and already being, captured as cinematics, as storytelling. Animations that you will experience as you play through the game. And I really want our audience to experience it firsthand and understand like why are we there? What is the struggle? Like what is the meaning of X and Y? And towards the end, I do want them to get meaningfully surprised as the ending as well. And and whether the ending will open up to, future seasons, future chapters in the world of Siberia. So that's all I can say. But maybe there's a hint that I can share that this world is governed, or created and governed by this super intelligence AI that is called Kusoka. And I know you're a fan of Japanese kind of lore and fictions and wordings, and so Kusoka means dream, means a dreamer. So in our vision, we think that this is our new god and she is dreaming, and what we're doing is inside her dreams. um yeah.
Wow. That was a lot of info. So I know you said, "Oh, I can't say much more," but I think I speak for all Sipherians here when I say there is so much that we can now just think about because I love it. I absolutely love what you've already built so far, even just visually. Looking at some of these worlds, the way that they have this feel where they all kind of have a similarity, but they're so conceptually unique. You have this world I have in front of me. I don't know if you can see it, Tin, but like on the stream if you're watching. But I
Yep.
have this one in front of me that just looks. It almost looks like something out of an old Final Fantasy game. Like it's really fantastical. It's very spiritual. It almost looks like magical here with this old like Roman feel to it. And then you get into even more like there's this other one here that's super awesome, or it almost looks supernatural now. It looks like natural. It's got this nice little mushroom on it with what looks like probably a quest. Somebody you're gonna go get a quest from right there. I love it. Right, like it's so. They all have this conceptual uniqueness to it, which does feel very dreamy. It's like you can go from one place to another so quickly in a dream world, and I'm so bullish to hear more about it.
have,
But
have you heard of Mycelium?
oh yeah, 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the big inspiration for us. And man, like as I was doing research on that topic for world building, I just got mesmerized by just these like discovered but not yet fully discovered or fully understood, scientific facts, of things around us. And I mean, yeah, that's a lot to be said. And we want to capture some of that inspiration or some of that gems and tell it in a like that.
Amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, that being said, though, I think that we have a little bit more coming talking about the world in a special way with a bit of the finale here, and I can't wait for you all to see it. But let's jump into a very important part of the Sipherian world, especially in its current state. And this is something that, has a bit of controversy in the space, even had a little bit of controversy in Cypher, and that is the concept of guilds, right? I myself, I am obviously a guild leader, quote unquote. MTTM is not your traditional guild, but I am technically a guild leader, so I know that there is a lot of guild focus. We've got Cuckoo in the chat. I know he's a big name in YGG, one of the biggest Web3 guilds in the world. So, Tin, I want to talk a little bit about guilds. Not too much, but just maybe your take on guilds, especially currently, because I know things have changed a lot, and maybe like your view or your vision of guilds in Cypher, in the Sipherian world.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that you said like MTTM is not a traditional guild, but actually when I first met you, uh, before I got into or deeper into this whole Web3 gaming, my concept of guild was the World of Warcraft guilds, right? The band of brothers, the band of friends who just grew up together across the continents to do like crazy 3 a.m. 40-man raids. That's my understanding of guilds. And oh man, it has changed over time because of Web3. Um, so what what do I think? I think that guilds in its most core um, form is a collection of people, right, who play games and basically get something materially good out of it for them, whether it's the joy of playing, the joy of helping each other discover and accomplish the game, the joy of being connected with each other, or the joy of like defeating the game together, like success in the game, right? And with Web3, we added this financial success on top of that. And I guess somewhere along the way, the financial success becomes the only means of success, and it becomes very extractive. uh, so I think there's been a lot of pushback, a lot of people saying, oh, like Web3 guilds are very extractive and blah, 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 blah. But, I would say there's a big counter argument to that. The counter argument is that with with games who may or may not have the marketing power,
Hmm.
the fundraising power, I do think some of the guilds do provide the kind of like the early investments to help them maybe grow the game.
Hmm.
Some of the guilds also provide like gameplay advisory, right? Like you were telling me, you were sharing with me all your thoughts and experiences on how you think the game should be, the game and the game community should be built. So those are, I think, amazing value adds that the guilds can give to game developers. And lastly, I think the new age of guilds, or the new form of guilds, I predict that we'll see, they would act more of like the old days, but now with aligned financial incentives, meaning that if the game is successful, sustainable, then the guild that is partnering and growing with those games should also be successful.
I,
And they
I
can
like it.
do it via a couple of ways. And I think one of them is education, meaning that educating about the game, sharing knowledge about the game, sort of like evangelizing about the game, like what you're doing now, Max, with Cypher,
Hmm.
and just be like honestly passionate about what you're evangelizing, what you're backing, what you're supporting. And number two is that I think guilds will then blend with like the new form of esports organization, where I see guilds start hosting actively more, sort of like tournaments, more like shows, streams, again with the purpose of growing the audience for both the guild and the game. And if we can thread the financial incentive needle so that we all can share in that success, I think that can be very, very powerful. And I think that is my take, or my understanding of where guilds should be heading. And would love to hear yours.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm happy to share mine, but I need one quick thing from you here, Tin, because Peak got disconnected and he messed up our camera, so nobody can see your beautiful face anymore. So can you do me a quick favor and just leave the call and rejoin really quickly again, so
No
we can
worries.
get you in the right spot?
Coming right back
Yeah,
in.
Thank
sorry
you.
about
It's all
that.
it's all good, Peak. We've already grown to expect this. No, I'm just kidding. I love you.
My bad, my bad.
All right, we're coming back, guys. We're coming right back here. All right, here we go. Here we go. Are we all good? Let me know, everybody in the chat. We're just going to take a quick moment here and make sure that everything looks good, and then I want to share a little bit of my thoughts on this. Okay, chat, everything look good? Can you see Tin again? Can you see me? We're all looking good. Okay, I think we're all looking good. So now that we're on this point, yeah, I want to share my thoughts on this because I think when it comes to guilds, I find it almost really, really perfect that when you first met me, you felt that traditional guild feel because MTTM was never created to be a financial entity. It was never created to be, a Web3 guild with a bunch of scholarships running. And I myself, I come from a background of real guilds, right? I mentioned that I met Oriel in an MMO, and we went on to build hundreds of guilds in multiple games together, and they were always exactly what you had talked about. It was a group of people completely around the world. There was no regional borders. There was this cultural mix of everyone, and you just went out and you competed. You wanted to perform. You wanted to achieve. You wanted to be known. You wanted to raise your flags on the most valuable, most difficult, most sought after piece of land in the entire game, because that sense of accomplishment, that legacy, was what made a guild what it was. And I think that Web3, especially in its early state, it really almost distorted that for me, as far as guilds. And I almost stopped calling MTTM a guild, because I'm like, look, when we started, MTTM was just a Discord. Like, I was just kind of bullied into making a Discord from all my YouTube viewers, because they're like, hey man, this content you're putting out is pretty good, but like, we have more questions and you can't answer them all in the comments, so like, make this Discord. And it just organically grew and grew and grew, and like-minded people got together. And then what ended up happening was we just played games with each other, right? I remember the very beginning, we had Dark Roamer and Abu just decided to jump into one of my voice chats and start streaming Axie. And I'm like, no, I'm going to jump in there. And then more people jumped in. And then we had like 10s, 20s, 50s, hundreds of people coming in, hanging out, playing, chatting. And there was no, oh, hey, how do I, how do I expand my scholarship? Or like, how much money are you guys putting into things? It was just, what are we doing here as gamers? What are you, what have you theory crafted? What are you performing with? What do you like? Oh, are you breeding? Okay, what are you breeding? Oh, how did you breed that? Wait, what did that? It was real. It was organic. And then when I started to get more involved with the space, and especially when, the bull market of last summer came, things got really distorted. And I love, full love to the YGG team, Gabby, Cuckoo, I love you guys, but I know the YGG model of scholarships really became almost that iconic model for guilds to go after. And I felt like, even though YGG may have had a lot of good motivation behind why they built everything, that a lot of guilds came in, a lot of entities came in, and they built on top of that with a similar model, and it really got distorted from there, right? So I personally think that this downtrend of guilds get in early, buy a bunch of assets, run scholarships, and then dump their assets on everybody who's exit liquidity, it is dying, and it is dying for good reason. There isn't those people coming in willing to be exit liquidity anymore, which is good. I'm happy that people are learning and growing, because that's not sustainable. And then guilds, as a result, are also growing. We've been growing very early because we never really followed that model. So when everybody else was leaving the space, and scholars were leaving, and Discords just became completely inactive, we were still gaming. Everybody at FTTF was still jumping into channels. We just maybe weren't playing the same games. We jump into playing some League or playing some Escape from Tarkov, which, Peak, I know you're a big fan of. And we would just enjoy the true essence of gaming, right? And I think that's something, when it comes to guilds, that really needs to be recaptured. So I know I digress. I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but I personally think that this idea of guilds becoming these iconic brands, these communities, these information hubs, these value-adding entities in the space, that's going to be how guilds, first off, stay profitable, because you cannot monetize on extractive measures alone by extracting tokens from a game, but at the same time, how they become valuable, right? How they become known, how they create a legacy is through what they do as a value-adding entity in Web3. So I know I myself, I don't have a perfect system by any means. I'm learning just like everyone else, but I want to be able to have MTTM, and have not just MTTM, but every guild and every individual that's associated with me and Sipher, to the best of my ability. I want to have them influenced to add value to the ecosystem. So I'm fully on board with that. And I'm happy that you see that too, Tin, because I don't want you to be putting together, and the team to be putting out systems that just favor, a big guild with a lot of scholarships to come in and make the most of an extractive event and then just dump it all on everyone. I want it to be, favoring the performance. I want that guild that comes in with the hardest hitters. I want like the MT8 esports guys to come and compete in the tournaments against the MTTM esports guys. And I want it to be a big battle to put your flag on the top of that hill. And I want that to be what brings the value to the game.
100%, man. 100%. I love that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, again, I'm sorry, Sipherians. I'm super passionate about guilds. And I think that that's a really important part here. But that being said, I'm talking about competing, right? Let's get into one other part here, because I want to keep it going. Tournaments. Tournaments are super exciting. I'm a PvP person, so I know eventually this will be PvP, but I have a feeling that these tournaments are not going to be PvP alone, because I remember we were talking a little bit even about the co op and the PvE side being a little bit more competitive. So, Tin, why don't you share a little bit of information on the tournament competitive side of Cypher and how that is going to start and then evolve into the future phases of the game?
Absolutely, my pleasure. So when we look at PvP, we want to treat it as like really confrontational PvP, and then dialing it all the way down to like sort of casual PvP. So the goal is, how do we deliver an experience in PvE that our players can still, compete with each other? And some of the game modes that we're working on is that you're basically all put into this massive dungeon and you're just trying to outlast your mates. So there'll be no direct sort of like attack on your team or on your fellow players, but basically you're trying to compete to see who can the survival of the fittest, right, against waves and waves of enemies. So that's one mode we're currently thinking with. And then so that's on the more casual side, because there's not that much pressure of like, oh, what's Max doing, I gotta counter him, I gotta, like a traditional, kind of MOBA, right? um so that's one aspect or one mode. Another mode we're working on in the design phase is tournament mode. So that means that there'll be a time limited event where players will basically enter into, they would create groups and they'll enter like into like matchmaking servers, and you'll be matched with the people against your elo. It's very typical, kind of like a PvP structure. And the matches, the game modes can be straight up like, death match, like, you wipe out the team, you win. Or would be more like defend the flag, capture the flag.
Ooh.
uh and then the last mode, which we're currently thinking, is that something that has to do with like maybe pushing or defending an objective, right?
Mm.
um so I think those kind of modes will actually lend itself very well to the wide cast of subclasses that we have, and also the deep, very nuanced gear system, crafting system that we have already ongoing. And the idea then is that you would need a lot of coordination, you would need like teamwork, and you would need, like you said, MTTM, kind of like the aces to be there, at their best to beat each other. And then the rewards in exchange will be legendary weapons, will be legendary blueprints. It will be very, very rare, like, but crafting materials, and even some cipher tokens. So I think that's what we currently have in mind in terms of tournaments or just like PvP gameplay experience. And Peak, would love for you to add some of your thoughts on here
Yeah,
as well.
I was ready to jump in. But to build off of Tim's point, PvP, it's on a scale, right? You can go from like the really simple stuff like, hey, let's see who has a better high score, to like the ultra hardcore, 3v3 team fight, time limit, let's get it. And there are pros and cons to both. One is not inherently better than the other, but we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves to one thing, and we want our players to be able to try out different game modes and to have different game modes that cater to different people, right? Some people aren't maybe as so intense like Max, who is like super keen to hop on with two mates and play 3v3, and dodge skill shots and keep track timers and like and everything like that, and that's fine. That's Max's niche, right? But maybe some people just want to see how much damage they can do to this boss, and they want to rack up those numbers to show, hey guys, I did 1 million damage to this boss in 1 minute. What about you?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And these kind of sub niches is where the meta and where the gear comes back in, right? Because the gear to win a 3v3 fight might not be the gear to push an objective. It might not be the gear to pump out damage on this boss in this limited time mode. So
So
that's yeah, sorry, then go.
yeah, so just to jump into Nia's point, right? To Peak's point, right now we have a few names that we would love for our community to give us some ideas, but I think we need to be more creative here. But like Prison Break, defense the
Yep.
hill, shoot 'em up. So those are the current like names we got for our PvP experiences.
I like it.
Sorry.
And guys, that's what they just said. So Sipherians, if you heard that right, if you have your favorite competitive game modes, whether it be PvP or even like, strategic PvE competition, put them out there. Tag Tin, tag the Cypher page, tag me in it, get it known, because if you have really good ideas, this is the best part about Web3 games. And I know that
I
Cypher
love
is
that.
leaning into this. It's collective development, right? We
and
want to build
and
it with you.
to exactly, I mean, we would love to build with you. And since you mentioned that, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is us coming from the Warcraft 3 custom map days, right? Playing a tons of like Footman Wars, like Dota the original, by Icefrog. So I think UGC, like, just ideas and game modes being created by the community, by the gamers, are fantastic.
Hmm.
So we would love to really lean on this, towards next year. Once we have the core system like stable and functioning well, then I'm sure there'll be tons and tons of great ideas that the community will come up with, and either Cypher, our team, will build it, or we'll work together with the community to build these game modes as well. And that's definitely in the cards.
I love it. Yeah, it makes me think of a very iconic game mode that started an old school game. I remember old Halo Forge days and Halo Custom Map days with Infection coming around, and that became like a game mode that literally leaked into everything. You had Infection mode and everything, right? So I agree. Building is a very important
So
thing.
does Cypher. Cypher also have corruption mode.
Nice. That's what I like to hear. Nice, nice. Oh man, we're gonna have some crazy fast Neckos coming around trying to take you out. But I know what's coming next, and all I gotta say is I kind of hinted at this yesterday in the spaces for anybody who is in the space. Remember, I said there's a few other personalities that might be coming to the Sipherian family. Well, what comes up next is something that has me very excited. And Tin, I'm gonna not say anything. I'm just gonna let you and Peak say it because I don't want to get kicked off of this space or not brought on here as a host again. But let's talk about the building that's coming, especially as far as some of the races that are going to be coming up here. Let's talk about the more excitement that awaits. What have we got coming up? Look at this image here. I see a lot more than just a beefy Buru in that image.
Oof. Uh, Too much alpha. No. Peak, you want to go first?
What? I just see a Buru. And no, I see a Buru. I see a baby Neko.
Sorry.
I love it.
They're just heavily accessorized.
Okay, so
Chat's going
I,
crazy, by the way.
I can take this one. I can take this one. We've not been shy about the fact that we heavily drew inspiration from the Zodiac. So if you guys know anything about Asian culture and you are at all good with silhouettes, like if you played Who's That Pokemon and you Google what are the 12 Zodiacs, I think you guys can suss it out a little bit, but it won't come from us.
would there be a prize for the ones who guess it right?
Ooh,
Ooh.
that could be something that we run.
I
Actually,
see
that's a good
Drac
idea.
taking notes right now. He's like writing this
Yeah.
down.
Community contest, I got it.
I love it.
But
I can tell you right now, there were at least 100 screenshots taken of the Twitch stream right there because they're like, if this VOD doesn't exist or they're not going to give it to us, we're never going to leave this leak alone. They're going to be speculating on it for a long time. But go ahead, Peak.
No, I was gonna say you guys can definitely see that the art team is very feminine favorite because you got one Burrow and then three very feminine characters coming after that.
I love it. Hey, you can never go wrong with that. I've always felt like, and this is just my opinion, but I know a lot of people will look at anime and you think of some of the coolest looking characters in anime. They're almost always female characters because I think the female silhouette just works so well for you to over exaggerate the outfits and the features to look really, really sharp. Plus, I mean, girls even say it. A pretty woman is a pretty woman. You got to appreciate that, right? So I think it's great. But okay, we're not going to spend too much time on this because I don't want to give you guys too much time to speculate or try and pull any leaks out of us. I have a very tight lock on my lips here. So we're going to move on to probably.
I can another for you, bro.
Oh.
So basically, we're already working on the content plan for after the game launch, guys. So it's not just going to be game launch. We're already planning, what's in season 1, what's in season 2. So stay tuned.
Basically, those are future characters that we already designed, and we are already making them. for you guys.
I've hacked into their database. I've seen all of them. They're not lying. Okay, but let's get to another thing. This is really passionate here. I want to, I really want to open the floor. I'm not going to talk much here at all because this is the challenges and triumphs of Cypher. I'm on the other side of the world. I wish I was closer to you guys to be a part of some of these triumphs and challenges, but this is mostly you. So let's jump into this here, challenges and triumphs. So first things first, this is a big one. And this is something I know I am extremely bullish on because I've been reading Blood, Sweat, and Pixels and a bunch of other like game development books.
Nice.
And I got to say, I think this was probably one of the best changes that I've seen, and I'm very happy to hear it. But Tin, Peak, you guys talk about this. The change. We've got two engines in front of us, Unity, Unreal. What's the point of this slide here?
Okay, let me take over as a host for this one. So guys, a big decision that we've made in the past few months is that we have swapped the engine from Unity to Unreal 5, and there were a lot of reasons about this. We debated it over heavily, and today we wanted to let you guys know why and what's the logic behind it, and what the pros are, and why we decided to do it this way. So take the floor. What are the big three reasons for why we made the swap from Unreal to Unity?
Sure. I think when you say swap, it sounds so easy. It's like, oh, just swap. Like here's my bottle, let's swap it with another bottle. But actually, those who are in game development know that it's like it's like you have a house and you're trying to build another house while retaining like the bricks. But you cannot because you have to break it apart and rebuild from scratch. Um, the only thing we kept was the game design. That's and of course the assets, the characters, the art assets. But everything else was broken down, was basically created from scratch. And there are a couple of reasons for this. And it took me personally 2 months. So Max, remember when you were playing the Unity build? Couple of months back, like at that time I was already deep in Unreal, like researching, learning the engine myself, talking to like really experienced devs around the world about the experiences. And after 2 months and a lot of like internal discussion with the team, because we have to get everyone to buy into this vision, right? The whole team.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a one-man decision because it affects everybody. We decided to make the switch because of three big reasons. Number one, those who know, multiplayer, live action multiplayer is really really hard to do because of the way you have to communicate data between different clients and sync them across different clients. So it's very very hard when you have an engine like Unity who does not have its first party, meaning native multiplayer networking solution, so that Unity games that are doing live action multiplayer have to rely on third party networking solutions. In our case, it was Photon. And because of that, there's a lot of mismatch because it's a third party, right? It's built by a third
Mm-hmm.
party. So every time Unity, let's say, release a new build, there'll be some bugs, there'll be some problem. And also the third party solution, in our case, could work well for our like sort of like early vision of like 3 players, 5 players, multiplayer. But when with our ambitions of hopefully one day creating like 100 Sipherians experience, 100 people together in one session, we could not do it with Unity.
Mm-hmm.
So that was number one, multiplayer experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is, you know, we we take pride in our art, in our design, in the 3D, the VFX, the animation, everything. And using Unity, it was harder for us to bring all that to the surface. But using Unreal, it's really much more achievable, and I would say even easier for our team to push the limits of what graphical fidelity can be. And I think that is something that we really want to focus on to basically stand out from the pack
Mm-hmm.
of like just games in general, not even like Web3 games. So that's our second reason. And then the third reason is that we think that Unreal is leaning very, very heavily into this creator economy, into UGC, and also they're a big proponent or supporter you would see from Web3 games as well with NFTs and so on. So I think they would be an ideal like ecosystem partner for us as a studio to be building upon, and they also provide a lot of like resources free of charge to the studios that are building on them to help them through the development journey, which I think is something quite rare. um, so those three reasons combined, but really mainly the first two, really drove us to to make this like complete like switch, right? And it required basically for our entire engineering team to be taking apart the game and then rebuilding it now with Unreal tooling in their hands, and that require a lot of learning, a lot of late nights, a lot of overtime. Like I was sharing with you before the stream, like we were working today, Saturday, until like 6 7 p.m., and I just got home. Um, and that's the kind of effort we have to put in order to basically catch up with where we were in Unity. But I think now we're almost in a very good place where we're at, like we're feeling very comfortable with the engine, and that we're able to then develop like amazing game features in the engine for what we want the Sipherian Odyssey.
Well, I love it. I honestly do. I think, as I said, I've been really deep diving recently into a lot of media, books, stories that talk about game design. And I highly recommend if anybody who's watching this, who is interested in Web3 gaming, hasn't done that yourself, you really should do it because it helps you to understand exactly what this process is like and the challenges, how challenging it is to build a game. Like, I never realized it. I was always on the other end, and, I'd be upset if a game came out and I'm like, that doesn't really, that doesn't do what I want it to do. I feel like there's a few too many bugs, or this isn't quite as fleshed out, or this doesn't look as pretty. And I never realized, I almost felt a little entitled, not even realizing how much effort was put into it because there wasn't that sense of appreciation. And seeing this, even just seeing the assets, because you're right, I played it on the old Unity build and it was good then, but what I see now just blows it away, right? And I'm so excited to know that future scalability is the priority right now for you guys. And that's why I said, when you told me initially that you made the switch to Unreal, and I remember when you were talking to me about the game and the playtest, and you're like, oh, don't get your hopes up too much, it's just like a simple little vertical. Now I see what you were getting at, right? Because there was more in the books, there was more you guys were cooking up, and I gotta say, this is extremely bullish. I know what it's like. I know you guys are going to have to crunch extra for this. My entire condolences and my support goes to the team that's going to have to put these late nights in, but I know it'll be worth it because when this comes out, it's going to completely blow whatever the previous Unity build would have been out of the water for years to come. So I'm really bullish about it. Very, very bullish. And speaking of that, I know that we got a little bit of a video talking or showing some of the team working on the Unreal Engine. So I think I'm going to share that with everyone. Now, just to let you all know, it's a little bit weird, so I'm going to have to pull out of the slideshow here to show it to you, but just give me a quick sec, everyone. Here we go. So we got a video here. We're going to bring it up. Oh, look at this. People don't even realize just how much goes into building this stuff. Look at that. Okay, I got to pause it for a moment. Look at all of the models on that. It's insane. There are so many different Cypher models on that screen right there. It blows me away, and I can see the depth. Like, as I played the previous playtest, and this is night and day. There isn't even any background elements, but just looking at the pure definition and all those 3D models, oh, it gives me shivers. It actually gives me shivers, Tid. Holy.
Well, you'll be getting a close up to that as I'll be sharing my Unreal Engine screen, right?
Oh my goodness. Wait, I'm so excited. You guys, you don't even know. That's super, super, super bullish here. So we're going to go back to the slideshow. The video only really works if I go off. I'm just making it easier because Peak was telling me how he has issues with the video. But this is amazing. And I think now that we've had a little bit of a peek into the office, we can talk a little bit more about an office announcement. So Tin, I know you guys are just in the process or just recently actually launched your third office, your satellite office. So tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. So we've been planning for this office for a good 6 months now. We've been hiring a lot of amazing talents in Da Nang, which is the like a really a really beautiful coastal city in Vietnam, but also happened to be a city with a lot of engineering and art talents. And we've been growing the team there to a sizable number of 20, and we since like a couple months ago, and so we knew that a satellite office is in order. Why? People say, yeah, you can do remote work, it's okay, you can just meet each other on telecom, but actually for game creation, like fresh new games, you have to be physically working with people, because a lot of it is the feel. It's like, I don't quite like this movement. Like, can you take a look at that? Like, you cannot communicate that on like a Google Meet. It's
Yeah.
you can just cannot. Or just like bringing people together to jam on like new ideas, and like whiteboarding it out, and like even like a paper play testing it. It's very hard. So that's why we decided to open a satellite office there. And it's been in construction for a while, and the team is going to be moving in about 2 weeks. So around
Wow.
the first of or I guess the 10th of September is when we officially the team will officially start working there. And I think I'll fly there as well. But we're very excited to be building out this team in Da Nang, this presence, and we would love for any people who are happen to be Da Nang and want to work in gaming, you want to work in a great game studio. Please let us know. I would love to welcome you there.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I see Nancy, we
It's
got you in the
also
chat. I
where Ubisoft has their HQ in Vietnam.
really in Viet I
Mhm.
didn't even realize that actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So was
But
that a
to
little
wrap
bit
up,
of a reasoning for wanting to be there? You just feel like there's going to be a nice little pocket of talent there as a result?
Oh, absolutely, talents
yeah,
are there.
Mm.
That's why we
to,
are going there, or
to
we'll be
wrap up
there.
the point on why this is a major milestone for us, Da Nang is like the place to be to look for engineering and art talent. And
Mm.
having an office presence there is really significant for us in terms of acquiring and maintaining a healthy working relationship with them, and like a very productive relationship. So, which is why we're
Love it.
very excited for that.
I love it.
Yeah,
I honestly love it. I think it's great. You guys, I'm gonna have to work something out for you guys to get me out there because I'm gonna have to like spend some time out there. I'll do like podcasts with everybody in all the offices. I'm willing to put in the work here. I want to make it happen because it's. I remember when you released your first office, and actually, funny enough, I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but I remember there was a few people saying, "Oh, that's a fake office video," and I remember just laughing at hearing that. I'm like, you know what? If that's all you got to say is that you think Cypher's putting fake office videos on social media, like I'm pretty bullish about that because I know Tin, you have a huge background in real estate, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure an office is like the easiest thing they're doing here, guys. So I just thought that was funny, but here we are already with the third one coming out. So for me personally, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the Sipherians here. Congrats, you guys! You're growing so fast. I love to see this. I think I've said it before. I was just on a podcast yesterday with a local Canadian group, and they said, I want drop some names for us. Who do you think is, has a shot at being one of the Web3 giants? And you guys were the first name I dropped. I was like, look, I might be a little biased here. I had to put a disclaimer out there because I've been so connected to you guys, but I said everything just keeps adding up, right? Like it's not just what's coming, it's how it's coming, it's the speed of it coming, and it's also the understanding of what's necessary to come because game development and becoming a studio, an entity that can develop and publish at this level, it's not a simple task. I have aspiring dev studios and dev teams reach out to me regularly, at least once a week, if not multiple times a week, and say, hey, we
Hmm.
want to make a game, give us some feedback, you're an advisor to blah 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 blah, tell us about it. And I say, very first thing I say to them, are you aware of the responsibility of making a game? Are you aware of just how big of a responsibility this is and how much effort, how much money, how much, scale and size it takes to do this? And nobody is, right? They all think, oh, no, we're just a group of 10 people who have dev experience and we want to build a game. And I'm like, all right, so you want to build a mobile game in Web3 that Apple isn't even going to let you host on their app store. You might want to reevaluate your priorities here, right? But this is so bullish, guys. So again, congratulations. I'm really happy to hear this. I can't wait to
Thank you,
come out
man.
and visit.
Absolutely, we'd love to have you and multiple other, content creators, gamers. If you're in town, Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, Da Nang, please reach out to our team. Come by and say hi.
Ooh.
Tim, that's a good question I saw, which is what about the status of Cypher's hiring? What is the team size at now? What does the breakdown look like? How are we doing?
Man, we are at almost max capacity. We're at 160 people, or 157 to be exact. We're adding three more people over the next few weeks, and that's 160. And we tentatively have space, like physical space, for about 15, 20 more people. But it's really we're still it's hard to find more talents. Uh, so again, if you're a talented dev, game designer, artist, please let us know. We're always hiring. We'd love to welcome you on the team. And you know from this conversation that we're working on something that we think is really special, and we'd love to, for you to be a part of it.
Love it. You guys heard it. And I highly recommend. I wish that I had dev experience. I would be applying for that immediately. But speaking of the growth and the appeal here, there's another thing that came up recently that shocked me, actually. I was like, whoa, this is no joke. Sipher actually made it into the news on the most recent KPMG leading 10 emerging giants report. And this is, I mean, I think some people might not understand the scale of this kind of accomplishment. So, Tin, Peak, why don't you give us a quick little brief of, first off, what this is, and then what this means to and for Cypher.
Um, So this came as a surprise for me as well when they reach out, because I think KPMG, we all know, right, is a pretty reputable big four in terms of like consultancies and financial audits and business advisory. So when they did this report, they reach out and they just asked us for information like, hey, we heard a bunch of good things about Cypher. Can you tell us more? What you're building? Your vision, your team, blah blah blah. And we treat it as like, okay, sure, we'd love to give you some information, and it might help your report and help grow the space. And after like a couple of weeks, and they come back and said, yeah, like, we think you guys are, amongst like what some of the a really promising team that are growing in the region, and we'd love to feature you there. Are you okay? I was like, of course, it'll be our honor to be on it. But of course, it comes with a lot of pressure as well, because I think the word giant is is it brings with it a lot of pressure for sure, right?
It's
But
pretty
yeah,
huge, if I say so myself.
yeah. But I think we'll try to live up to the expectation. And of course, we're very honored, and it's really thanks to the team.
I think I want to jump in here real quick before you share your thoughts, Peak. I think one of the biggest things that hit me on this was that this wasn't a Web3 gaming specific report, right? Like there are some games that'll come up on like, oh, blockchain games. These are our like top 5 blockchain games. This is not a Web3 only list. You can even see here from in front of me that there are multiple, like this is digital companies, you've got e-commerce, SaaS companies, real estate technology companies, you've got, health companies, which are massive. Like comparing up to a health company is something. Wow. So I think that's one of the biggest things that stood out for me here is this isn't your typical top 10 list where it's like, oh, Cypher and Axie and Alluvium are on here. It's like, no, Cypher is the only blockchain game on here, and that's really important for me. I just think it's, again, congrats, guys. But go ahead, Peak, if you had something you wanted to add on to this.
Yeah, no, I think it's just basically at Cypher we really push to make it you can't only be in Web3, right? You have to go out of Web3. You have to reach the person that doesn't get an NFT, the person that doesn't care about when moon and all that kind of thing. And so for this kind of stuff, like for recognition from basically the equivalent of like Web2, it's a big milestone for us. It shows that people maybe they're not fully convinced yet, but they got their eye on us, and that's all we want, and that's what we want, and what we're gonna leverage when the game finally launches.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a big thing everybody's talking about. I know some really big creators. Spike's in here. Spike has been talking about this a lot. Bryson, myself, right? I think that we really have to not. I hate the term "bridge the gap" because it's just so overused, but blur the boundaries between Web 2 and Web 3. And I've really been loving that myself, right? I come from Web 2 esports. I've still got a lot of League of Legends friends of mine. I've got a lot of them turned to TFT players, which is weird. But anyway, I love this. And I think when I connect with people outside of Web 3 and talk about what I do, I'm able to communicate a little bit more of what I do because I'm a gamer, right? And I'm able to connect with Web 2. And not everybody is, but I think a lot of people are getting good at that. And that is something we need. We always talk about wider adoption. And for me, I think wide adoption of Web3 technology in the gaming industry is going to come when you don't even have to you don't have to feel the Web3 in it when you get into it.
Yep.
You don't have to desire the Web3 when you get in. The Web3 is going to be a spice that just makes everything so much better, and you won't even realize it. That's when I think wider adoption can truly be realized, is when you have people downloading a Web3 game, starting to play it, and they don't even realize it's Web3 until suddenly they realize somewhere along the line, hey, I have digital autonomy of what I'm doing in this game. What is this? I've never had this before. And I am super pumped to see that, actually. So, again, congrats, guys. Absolutely congrats. Let me jump. Oh, it says Spike's not here. Oh, no.
So, Tin, are you able to show the build on your computer at the moment?
Is that what comes next? Is the video up ahead of us here, Peak, before I move
No,
forward?
the video is not yet.
Okay.
Tin?
Yeah,
Are you
I am.
able to, you're sharing your screen? Okay, great.
Yep.
So to build on this, guys, one of the benefits of being able to making this decision to build up again on Unreal is that we could prioritize mobile a lot more this time around, right? So what we envision is that for the upcoming launch, we really want to prioritize mobile, and the reason for this is one, mobile does not have such a negative. You know how like computer gamers on Reddit, they're very anti monetization. Everything has to be free. And they're also very anti Web3. So we don't think that's the way to get our foot in the door. So we think that for mobile, they're much more open to this kind of technology, and it's where it makes more sense.
And also a massive audience too.
Yeah, and the audience is massive. If you look at like the market size of mobile gaming versus traditional PC gaming,
Trumps it.
So-
Yeah, dwarfs it.
so not to say that we're not doing PC, it's just us we're doing both, but we're focusing much more on mobile this time around.
So
Yeah,
what you're
so
telling me
the-
is I got to get a better
the
phone.
release.
No, so we're making it for you don't need to have the Samsung Galaxy S22s or the iPhone 13 Maxes, right? You can have your Xiaomi or whatever phone from 2015 and the game should run fine.
I would caveat that, Peak. I don't think with our current graphical fidelity, a 2015 Xiaomi phone can run it. Maybe you have to try like 2018.
2018. I got too excited. I went 2 years early. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So it's okay. I got you there. So yeah, I mean, mobile is we always know since the beginning that we'll make a cross-platform game. What does cross-platform mean? It means that you should be able to play on mobile, and then when you go home, like on the go, and then when you go home, you open up your PC, launch your PC, and continue your journey. Continue with the account. Continue where you left off. Um, so that's always been the experience we want to create. And at the beginning, we prioritize PC because of just the ease of of deployment, the ease of building on Unity. But now with Unreal in hand, Unreal is made in such a way that mobile optimization is very doable. It's challenging still, but very doable. And after like careful research and analysis, like what Peak was saying, we definitely think mobile is the way to go when it comes to releasing a game like this, with the game design and the whole game economy being structured.
Mhm.
So mobile will be the first release platform, and we'll have PC coming up after that. So just to let you guys know there.
It's good information. It's good to know for sure. I think that's really important for everybody to know. And then in that regards too, it'll be I don't think it's going to be something where you feel completely left out. By the way, I don't think the integration of giving you a game on PC will take like years or anything crazy. But I think it's important to know. I myself actually, I just recently started to get some gear because I think that mobile gaming is advancing a lot, and I was actually looking into even being able to stream on mobile. So I'm excited. I got Tin, these earbuds I
Nice.
got in right now. They're specifically meant for mobile gaming. So next thing coming up is an ROG phone, and then I'm good to go. But
Hey, I was about to plug that. Asus ROG Phone 6, guys. If you want to
It's
whale
good.
and be the top tier gamer, the top tier mobile gamer that you want to be, hashtag not sponsored.
not sponsored, but I mean I'm using all
Okay.
ROG. Okay, so we want to
I also have it, but yeah, okay. So are you ready?
let's jump in.
Yes.
So Tin, if you want to give me 1 sec here, I'm just going to go to BRB just so that we don't have to have a bunch of messing around for me. So if you want to stream your screen, and then I will bring us over there.
I'm sharing my screen right now.
Okay.
I think it's best if I turn off my camera, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I
For
think that might
Oh,
work.
unless
Oh no.
it's the quality. Yeah, if it's a
Yeah.
quality factor, yeah, go right ahead. Just give me 1 second here. Give me a moment, everyone. I just want to set this up, make sure it looks good for you. Bear with me if it doesn't look perfect right off the bat. Oh, would you look at that? It looks almost perfect right off the bat. Jeez, Sipher got a 10 peak. I think I get a raise for this one. Anyway,
Awesome.
here, go ahead, Tin. Take the stage. Actually, give me 1 moment before you go on here. I just want to make sure. Is there any audio or this is just visual?
Just visual.
Just visual. Perfect. Then you're good to go.
Are you seeing the screen though? Are you seeing
Yep.
fine?
Yep.
What do you
It's
see?
on-
Tell me.
it's
What
on-
about chat? Chat, can you see it all right? I see a very nice in-depth 3D environment with a basic model in the middle. I don't think that this model is supposed to be untextured, right? Completely.
Yep. So it's basically a mannequin, and she's gonna take us for a tour, a small tour. So this is the world. Well, some of the first world. This whole world is called Dopamis. You'll be experiencing that as a player as you come into the game.
We'll have this
And
up on YouTube after, guys, if you want to rewatch on your own. So don't worry about that, because I think it will be much more impressive if you can see it direct on your screen.
yeah,
But yeah,
and these are the look and feel of this world. So just to show you guys some of the up close, some of the graphical fidelity that we really put in our efforts to model out these worlds for the player is really really a lot of work.
Looks
So
incredible.
that's the world. I know it's a bit laggy, right? I think you guys see sort of like it's jittery a bit.
A bit, but I think again, bear in mind, chat, that Tin is streaming this raw across the world to me through Google Meets, and then I'm streaming it to you. So I think that's more of a multi-stream lag than it is Tin. I'm sure you're not feeling any lag on your
No, of
side.
course not.
Yeah.
But I swear I know for a fact that the chat will be seeing lag. So just a caveat there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be making my way back and showing you some stuff. So on for a
Also,
moment.
guys, remember that when you actually play the game, this is not the view that you get. Yeah, you guys will be playing.
So the first thing you see is that.
Oh my goodness. What the? I remember we were talking about spiders.
Tin just ruined my surprise.
Oh no.
There. Oh, your surprise is better, but that's the spider.
Whether that is friendly or an
Rem-
enemy, you guys
remember,
can decide.
remember this, Max?
I remember it very well. Anybody who was in the last little sneak peeks leaks that we had on the very first Sipherian Lounge episode will remember it too.
There you go. All in all is glory.
Wow. Look at the textures. I love it. It looks so good. I can see. I think one of the biggest thing is the depth, right? The quality of the textures, because I know UE5 has just absolutely amplified the depth that you could put into all your 3D modeling. It's unlike most of the other things we've ever seen. So everything looks so crisp, and that's one of the things that stands out to me so much. Actually, speaking of which, since we're on this, I have a quick question for you. Are you guys dabbling with some of the procedural systems and platforms in UE5 to develop Sipher?
100%.
Nice.
100%.
Nice.
Procedure generation is super important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another big topic for another day, but definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Max.
Then
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Look at him jumping. Oh my goodness. Look at the burrows. Oh my goodness.
say hello to my little friend.
Oh my god, you guys. Look at this. This is insane. I told you all that this is going to blow your mind. This is blowing my mind. Holy. Tin, what's your favorite Buru? What's your favorite style here? Do you like
You know my answer. They're all my favorites.
Oh, I love that answer.
Right. That's always a favorite.
Oh, I like it.
So that's your Bruce. Want to get an up close?
Look at that. That's my favorite. I love the Infernal with those gauntlets. Oh, it looks so good. They all
Okay.
look good. Oh, Tin. Jeez, you're
All right.
spoiling us.
All right, Max. I think to close off, can you get the video ready and we
Well,
move
we
on
still
to
have a few more,
Oh,
guys.
yeah, we have
we
a.
still have more? Oh, sorry, I did not realize. So here on the screen, you can also see our various NPCs and enemies that you'll soon encounter in the game. Whether or not they bite and how hard they bite, you guys will have to find out very soon. So
And
not
then
spoiling
two
anything for you.
more. Your Inus. Avengers Assemble.
Oh, Tin, is there an Inu in there with a lightsaber? Could you please? Oh, there is. I see him. I see him in the back. Oh my goodness. Look at it. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. Look at all of these. I love it so much. Look at that Inu with the katana. I love it so much. Wow. Everybody's the chat is going crazy right now. And I'm going crazy.
You see what he's holding?
Oh my goodness. Look. Wait, that's like super upgraded. That looks insane. Is that a Boken?
Yep.
Wow.
But
That looks like
cool.
an elementally charged Boken, like a fire charged or something. Looks amazing. Oh, it's so nice. So nice. Oh, I see the radio wave helmet. That thing looks awesome. Okay. Are we gonna wrap it up there, or we got one more? Oh, hey, the bosses. I remember that boss. I remember that 1 second from the right. That thing is a monster, spinning around and beating everybody up. Oh, it's so nice.
And then last but not least, our Nekos.
Look at them. Oh wait, you guys know what you're doing here. All the
Oh,
Nekos get
right.
put on podiums.
This is low key. This is low key a bit unfair,
K-poppy.
guys. Why are the Nekos on podiums? What about my Inus and my Burus?
See, the Burus and the Inus are scrappy. They don't mind, but like the Nekos are straight up K-pop stars. Oh my goodness, look at them. Oh, yeah, they're pretty hot. I gotta agree. Wow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wow. I'm speechless. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. Oh, look at that kick. I love that. The battle poses. So cool. Absolutely amazing. Jeez. This is...
And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Okay. Oh my goodness, you guys.
All right, guys. We really want you guys to appreciate this in much higher quality. So I'm gonna get a high res version of this, uploaded, so you guys don't have to deal with the from Vietnam back to the US and then from the US to your screens, that kind of lag. So we're gonna have a better solution for that. Keep your eye out. Meanwhile, Max, can I ask you to show a sneak peek of what's to come?
We got it.
For our lovely viewers.
Yeah, I got it. So I know we had a little bit of a leak on this, but let me tell you, this is, when I saw this video, it got me absolutely amped. So I hope you all are ready. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and let you all experience exactly what this is like. Check out this amazing video.
Is it playing?
There we go. And that's it right there. Oh yeah, you're just a little delayed on your side peak is all, but it was playing. Don't worry. Check that out. There it is, guys. And here is the announcement you've all been waiting for, the early access alpha playtest. It is being opened up. Do you guys want to share a little bit more in this regard here? And I'll let you guys take the stage and talk about the playtest and maybe a few of the elements around it.
Yeah, I can take this one. So, guys, as you can see from the video,
Actually, before sorry, Peak. What you saw, the video, it was in-game cinematic, not a not a like a render scene, but it's in-game, meaning that as you play the game, what you see is what you get. And
so that was full in-game footage. None of that was cinematic. That's what you will experience in-game. That quality.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. Okay, go ahead, Peak.
Yeah, no, so all good. So playtest, guys, there's gonna be 2 runs. Please, if you haven't already, please fill out the form to subscribe to join the playtest. You can find that on our website. I'm sure my lovely mods and staff will put the link into the Twitch chat right now. Please reserve as much as you can. Please spread it to anyone else that wants to play. Uh, we're going to run it in 2 batches. The exact time we'll announce to you later. We just want to ensure a smooth, bug-free experience. And it's going to be a first batch that's like a smaller group, and then a much larger batch after that. But please subscribe on the link. It's on our website. And for anyone that wants to get clapped by a giant robotic spider, you know where to go.
Here, I'm going to jump over to the website really quick just to see if I can show people the process here.
Yeah. In terms of our website, we also have some new exciting features announced. We kind of got excited because of the Unreal discussion, Max. But some small things that we do want to show off in the slides. If you could jump to the merch within the slides, Max.
Yep, we'll do.
So we've got some we've got merch claim coming up soon. We've got some new merch that we want to show off. More details you'll find out a bit later. But for now, everyone head to the website, subscribe first. But you've also got a merch. Our comics are now our comics starting at our comics, and next week will be live on the website, right? So what's going to happen is you don't need to go into the Discord anymore. You can go to the website, connect your wallet, and you can read chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as chapter 5, which is coming out next week. So you're going to find out how the Buru and the Neko joined up as a crew.
Are you gonna do a sneak peek of that?
Let me try and share my screen.
Of the merch here?
No, the merch. Can you scroll down 1 slide?
Yep, definitely. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, is that the bomber? Okay, is Justin in here? I gotta ask. Justin, are you in the chat? If you are, I know you and I were chatting about this. What I see from at least that mock-up looks hype. I love it. Absolutely love it. Very, very well done. I think it's amazing. I remember we were going off and he's like, hey, I remember I asked him one question. I was just like, hey, how much effort are you putting into the bomber jacket? Because I'm getting one. So I'm like, a little bit of me wanted a nice one. And he started name dropping some really well-known names. He's like, well, I got a nice diesel bomber jacket. And I'm like, I trust you. I trust you. If you know your jackets, I trust you. And I think we're going to get some amazing ones. So, but Peek, you said you were going to share your screen for what process was it?
Give me just 1 second.
No problem.
I'm sharing a screen right now. Can you see it?
Give me 1 second here. I just got to move to the other view really quick. Here we go. We can see it. But your face isn't on there. It's just me and Tin. But here you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you can see my screen, right? That's fine.
Yep.
So basically, guys, now the comics has moved on to our website. So in the future, to read the comics, you just have to connect your wallet, and you can read chapters 1, 2, 3 about the Inu and the Buru and their gone fishing story. You'll also be able to read the next series, chapters 3, 4, 5, chapters 4, 5, 6, which is the story of the Neko and how she met up with the Inu and the Buru. So this is all very clean. You just connect your wallet and you can read. But if you do not have an Inu or Neko in your wallet, I would suggest acquiring one to read the story, because we really did put a lot of work to it, and the comics are really, really high quality.
Do you need
So-
do you need an Inu and an Echo in your wallet for that, or just
No,
one?
you just need an NFT to read the comics.
Yep.
However, what we're planning to do is when it comes closer to the game launch, the people that have been holding the Inus and Nekos, we've been taking like secret snapshots, right?
Mhm.
Those that have been around since the first chapter launch all the way to the 9th chapter launch will be eligible for some like limited edition physical versions of the comics. Details to be announced later. And then what we want to do is we want to publicly, roll out these comics to the general population, because we think this is a great way to show people that the story is deep, we're serious, and to show them the efforts of our world building and our story team.
I love it.
So
Just to add on to that, this will also be like our publishing platform, so that later on when there's new comics or
Yep.
new stories, we'll be publishing through this format, just so it's easier for everybody. You don't have to be on Discord to read these.
Mhm.
And last but not least, this is a testing link, so please don't go to it. You can close it now, actually.
I put the
So
link here. Yeah, don't
So
go for that.
the live version will be announced, I think, sometimes in early next week, like Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, stay tuned for that as well. And I think last but not least, regarding uh, merch and sculpture. So, Justin, our head of marketing, he's been working on a very cool kind of like Easter egg for all you, sculptures holders out there. So once you get your sculpture delivered, there's a secret interaction that you can do with your phone, and that will lead you to something quite special. So that's just like an alpha right there for you
Ooh,
guys.
I'm getting some AR, some augmented feels from that. I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. Well, I mean, in that regards, I think I know we've gone over so much. It's absolutely crazy how much we've done. But is there anything else we have to go over here, or is this is pretty much it, isn't it?
From my side, just a parting, like a parting note is that, just once again, as always, Max, amazing time with you, man. Thanks for hosting, and to our listeners and community out there who are tuning in or watching this at a later stage, like, thank you so much for supporting us, throughout the journey. We're heads down building, and we'd love to have your support in the continued future.
Thank you. Thank you. And I mean, I speak probably on behalf of all Sipherians and say, with what you guys continue to put out here and how we continue to build, I don't think you have to worry at all about that sport continuing. I know we're very much behind the project here from the very beginning. I know you and we connected. I love that you guys were gamers. That was always my biggest thing. I wanted to find a game in Web3 being built by true gamers, and I didn't expect these goofy chunky Inu boys to end up leading me to connecting with one of the best communities and best teams, who ended up being good close friends of mine. So I really appreciate it on behalf of all Sipherians. I want to thank you guys once again. This update was bonkers, absolutely bonkers. I'm like so hyped. I woke up at 4 in the morning for this. I'm on the very far west coast. I think, Prof, you're also early, so this started at like 6 a.m. for you, and it was worth every single bit of sleep that I did not get, and I'm sure it was for you as well. You were out going all day, so
Yeah.
thank you once
Hi, Guru.
again.
Just if I can finish here. Hey guys, after this, we've got a little special surprise for those of you who are in our Discord. So if you hop onto the Discord, hop to the announcements channel, you're going to see a little thing from Drac about POAPs, and that is all I'll say about that. Be quick, and thank you guys.
Thank you all. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Sipherians, get in there, get it done quick. We're going to be wrapping this up here now. Thank you all for tuning in, whether it is the morning or the evening or even the middle of the night for you. GMGEGN. Thank you once again, and I will see you all in Sipheria. See ya.
See ya.
Bye, guys.